Commission meeting for April the 20th, 2015. And we'll begin with our roll call by Director Shaw.
Chairman Roberts.
Here.
Chairman McNabb. Here. Chairman Galvin.
Here.
Chairman Craig. Chairman Clayton.
Here.
Commissioner Fox.
Here.
Commissioner Hatcher. Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner Murray.
Here.
Commissioner Trickett.
Here.
Commissioner Norton.
Here.
Commissioner Parr. Commissioner Vaughn. Here. Commissioner Webb. Commissioner Bass. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a quorum.
Thank you. First, I'd like to welcome Executive Director Paula Shaw to the Commission, and we look forward to working with her. And I'm also happy to report that Commissioner Jackson is back amongst us after an illness. We're certainly glad to see. Determination of necessity is on the but it's not necessary to have a determination of necessity, so that's a good thing.
It's basically a placeholder in case we needed it.
We'll need to adopt the agenda for the commission meeting, and I'd like to add an amendment to the director's report for a legislative update.
Motion to adopt the agenda and the report to the Director of Legislature.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schaefer. All those in favor of the motion, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. All right. If you'll look at the minutes from the January 12th, 2015 meeting, we'll need to approve or amend those. Motion to approve by Commissioner Clayton.
Commissioner Jackson, seconded.
Second by Commissioner Jackson. All those in favor of the motion, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Okay, we've adopted. If you'd also look at the March the 2nd, 2015 minutes, we'll need to look at those and amend or approve. Clayton moves to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fox. Those in favor of the motion respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Salesperson's appeals, informal appearances. Each of the appeals come under TCA 55-17-114A1C. So we won't read that for each appeal, and that is that statute is felony convictions that have not finished their 5-year period of time, waiting time to get a license. Am I correct, Director Shaw?
That's correct, and also we do need to read the meeting notice before we move further. This meeting date, time, and location have been noticed on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission website, included as part of this year's meeting calendar since October 6, 2014. Additionally, the agenda for this month's meeting has been posted on the Tennessee Motor Vehicle Commission website since April 16, 2015. This meeting was also noticed on the tn.gov website.
Doesn't require further action. Okay, thank you. All right. We have quite a long list of appeals this morning. Do we have anyone appealing that needs to make a doctor's appointment or any pending urgent matters? If not, we'll go in order of the agenda. Ronnie L. Farmer, Kia of Johnson City.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Farmer, come right ahead, sir. If you want to go to the podium there. Yeah. You have anybody with you, sir?
Kenneth Tomlinson, he's the general manager at Kia.
Sir, if you want to come up and have a seat on the front row there. Mr. Farmer, when will your 5 years, when would you be eligible for a,
I brought some papers from the federal probation. I was sentenced in '08, so it's actually been over 7 years from the sentencing date, which was February the 8th of 2008.
you're looking for your finishing of your, when would you be eligible
Oh, from the finish of the
from the
sentence?
finish? Yes, 5 years
Oh, okay.
from the, when you finished your sentencing.
Released in August 12th, 2013.
August 12th, 2018, before the statute would not apply to that. Okay. Would you give us the nature of your conviction, sir?
It was a conspiracy to distribute more than 500 grams of cocaine in 2006.
Who did you distribute to? Did you distribute to for profit?
Yes, honestly, yes, sir, I did.
Members, any questions for Mr. Farmer? What type of efforts have you made to have the situation, if that's an appropriate word?
Well, sir, this thing I done whenever I've got out from day one, you can ask Mr. Thomason. I've been working in their internet department. I've been trying to move into the sales. I've done nothing but work hard the day since I've gotten out because I don't want to put myself back in that situation to go back through that. And all I'm asking you all to do is just give me an opportunity to better myself through a better job.
Where have you been working since your release?
At Kia of Johnson City doing the internet.
The whole time?
Yes.
Okay.
Part of your probation, are you required to undergo drug testing?
Brought a letter from our probation officer saying I've complied by every rule, every drug test. I've complied with everything, and I have that letter with me from
I'd
the
like to pass that around, please.
Mr. Farmer, have you previously been in the car business before? Have you?
Not officially, no. I had some friends who owned like little small car dealerships, and I would be with them some. But this is like my first deal with sales in being in the car business.
Doing when you got convicted of this felony?
I was just working little small jobs here and there. I was actually going to school at Northeast State up in Johnson City, Tennessee, and I'd worked a couple construction jobs, things of that nature. As I said, whenever you go to prison for that amount of time, whenever you sit in there, you decide, well, when I'm getting out, I can either go back that route or I can find somebody to let me work hard and make a better life for myself.
Farmer, what action did you do in the internet department?
I would just schedule appointments, like if customers were to call in, I would just get them up there, and then from there, I would pass them to the salesman. Just things of that nature, answer emails, things of that such.
Did that for how long?
Right at 2 years.
2 years.
Are there any complaints from consumers about the way you did that particular job?
Oh, I've had nothing but good rapport with everybody that comes in there.
Is this your first arrest?
Commissioner Jackson, this is to the staff. Did we, Commissioner Schaefer just asked about the first arrest is what he's,
As far as I can tell, Commissioner, yes, sir.
When did you first start the internet?
In July 5th of 2013.
You didn't apply until when?
For the sales, yes, I've actually applied twice, once in July, and then I was denied, then I had to stay in the internet department. And then I tried it again in December, and then that's whenever we scheduled an appeal to come here.
Your supervisor, Mr. Thomas, your general manager, would you like to address the commission, sir?
I'll tell you a little bit about Ronnie. I mean, for the last 2 years that he's been there, I mean, he's been a stand-up employee. I mean, he comes to work on time. I've got no disgruntlement toward him or anything as far as the job he does. He shows up, he works hard, don't complain about being there, does a good job for me.
Your dealership do formal drug testing?
They do random drug testing.
How long have you been in the business, sir? Any further questions? Comments?
Oh. Let's tie some dates down for real quick. When did you go into prison?
In 2006. And I was sentenced in.
And you began your supervision in 13. That's when you got out. So you went to work there at that time?
Yes.
What experience in internet sales did you have prior to that?
I was always really good on a computer, and as far as doing the internet, it's just talking to somebody, and I've never had a problem speaking with somebody, so I just fit in good with the job. And then talked with Mr. Thomason when I come in. I was like, hey, give me a chance. This is in my past, but if you'll give me a chance, you know, I'll make a good employee. And
What did you submit at the time for the appeal? Was this included?
I had sent in, it was a 7-page transcript from the federal government saying the day I was arrested, I was sentenced to, the guidelines of my probation. I had sent that in because they had asked me to send that in. And they told me any other formal letters, such as the one I brought, just to bring it with me when I come today.
Use your expertise on the internet in any fashion to distribute this cocaine?
Oh, no, sir.
Wouldn't be a wise thing to do, but I thought I'd ask.
No.
Other questions?
So what goals do you have going forward past today?
What goals do I have forward? Well, Kenny's afforded me the opportunity to move forward as far as it would be with them, but without me being able to get a license, then I'm just kind of at a standstill to where I'm at. I have opportunities to make more money, but unless I can get past this phase, then I'm kind of where I'm at. But my whole ultimate goal is to move on from today and be able to move forward and be able to make more money with that business.
I make a motion that we approve his application.
Second.
Galvin makes a motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Trickett. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for a roll call vote. For the motion would be yes, that would grant. No, obviously would not.
I could ask you to speak clearly into your mics. I've noticed some of you's kind of have them pushed away from you, so that would help us and help the audience to hear. Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
motion carries.
Farmer, he'll be granted a license.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Really. Thank you.
Marcus A. Tate, Old Ben Franklin Motors. Morning, Mr. Tate.
Morning.
Felony denial, sentence to impose 3/14/14, probation ends 6/29/2021, eligibility date 6/29/2026. What was the nature of your felony conviction, sir?
Possession of cocaine. Possession of cocaine.
Okay. You did not distribute?
No, sir.
Okay. Are you, did you have an addiction issue, and did you do rehab? What were those circumstances like?
No, sir. Basically what happened, I just, made some mistakes. I had used it before and, I had it at my home, and I had somebody staying with me, and, we were both involved as far as with using it, and I actually was away from home, and the police came by there for some noise or something going on, and, he was in there partying, and they ended up searching the place and found the cocaine there. And, I was just as responsible. It was my home, and I had been using it, so, I took responsibility for what happened.
Well, you're on probation for 7 years. Were not incarcerated?
Yes, I was.
You were. How long were you incarcerated?
Exactly a year and 12 days.
Okay, that's probably in here. I'm
It's okay, sir.
watching the minutes and trying to keep up with information too as well. Questions?
Yes, Commissioner Jackson. He showed up at your home, and let me make sure I understand. Were you there when they showed up?
No, I was not there.
So let me make sure I understand. Because the cocaine was in your home, and someone else there was using it, so they charged you also?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the place was in my name, it was my place. And then the person that got arrested, said, hey, this wasn't just mine, I was living there, and he was like, okay, and then when they talked to me about 3 months later, I just told them the truth. I said, yes, it was mine, I did pay for it, and, they arrested me, and they charged me with the possession of cocaine.
This question's for the staff. Is what he just outlined in detail, do we have any information from the staff to verify what he just outlined, that he wasn't there and when they showed up they found?
Yes, sir. I do not have any of that. I only have the judgment of the conviction showing possession with intent for resale.
Is this your first arrest? How many times have you been arrested? All for the same offense?
No, ma'am. Driving on a suspended license, which happened, I think, in 2004, and then I had a possession of marijuana I was like 19 at the time, so 70, 80, 90, like 97.
Part of your probation, are you required to undergo drug testing?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I've been successful with that, and I've been successful with that at my job as well. They do have randoms, so I've been very successful with that. Never had any problems as far as any drug addictions or anything like that.
Your supervisor with you this morning? Sir, would you like to address the commission?
Yes, sir. Mr. Tate's been with Old Ben Franklin Motors for a couple of months. When he was applied for his license and was denied, we moved him back to detail. He's been there since December and took a huge pay cut, but didn't want to lose out on the opportunity to sell cars. We want to give him a chance if you guys agree. And he's been an asset. There's no issues with customers. We do RAM drug testing as well, so he hasn't had any issues with us along with his probation.
What's your name and title again, sir?
My name's Lincoln Sills. I'm sales manager. Sir.
Who's the owner of Ben Franklin Motors?
Mike Mincer.
How many salespeople do you employ?
Like
Is this
20
one location or is it?
We have two, sir.
How many employees do you have?
Total, probably 40 sales staff between both stores.
Of those 40, how many are salespeople?
No, you mean number of employees, or I was speaking on the number of salesmen. There's probably 40
No,
salesmen.
you have
between
40
the two.
salespeople.
Yes, sir, probably 20 per store.
A question for you about that. Of those 40, how many have been to this commission for license appeals?
I can speak for the 20 at my location. I've been there for about a year, and this was my second trip, and 4 salesmen that I'm aware of have had to come for an appeal.
No prejudice toward Mr. Tate's case. Your company is up here very often with license appeals for convicted felons. And most of them that we see are drug-related.
Yes, sir.
I think that'd be an accurate statement. Not just yours, but most of the others are. Possession, reselling, something like that. I have some concerns as you build the staff, or as your company builds its staff. We keep adding, having appeals, and we've granted some licenses. And are bringing in felons that are trying to rehab into a bad environment. You've got your hands full with the number that you have. Now, you certainly have a right to do that in running your business, but I do have some concerns that when a convicted felon comes in and they get a license, they need to go back to a good, solid atmosphere, culture.
I might be able to elaborate a little bit. I had previously worked at Ted Russell Ford for 5 years. Obviously, they were the owner of Old Ben until 2013. And when we would hire new salesmen on, as I was a finance manager, I wasn't a sales manager, but when we would hire new salesmen, if they had failed, Ted Russell, I can't speak for anyone specifically, but I know we didn't, at Old Ben, we give people that opportunity. So we you know, where most dealerships, you know, especially a new cars franchise, when you have, you know, the manufacturer there, you might say, I'm sorry, you were denied a license. We won't stand with you to appeal it. And I'm not speaking for Ted Russell, but some dealerships that I've worked at in my 10 years would do that. If you were denied, they were done. They didn't want to deal with it. We are a used car dealership. I know I've been here twice now, and so I can see the pattern would obviously cause an issue. But we do give them an opportunity, and we say we'll stand behind you, and we'll give you one chance. And if there's any issues, one write-up, and we're finished with you. So I will definitely bring that concern to Mike, though, and let him know that.
I can appreciate this. In Mr. Tate's situation, he's had 3 felony convictions, I think, Mr. Tate. And
One, the two was, the possession was misdemeanor. I got arrested for those 2 misdemeanors. Driving unsuspended was misdemeanor. I mean, with my...
Then you had a marijuana, then you had a cocaine.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, to that point,
And the marijuana, like I said, marijuana was misdemeanor. So.
okay. But to that point, sir, you're bringing a lot of people that are struggling to overcome bad habits and addictions, bringing them together. I hope you've got control of this up there.
No, I've done sales.
That
Oh, I'm sorry.
to the gentleman here that's the
Oh, I'm
sales
sorry.
manager.
We definitely run a tight ship. And again, I have been up here twice with this third individual, but we do give them a shot. Sometimes it works out for us, sometimes we have to absolutely cut ties.
What do you think your success rate is? Do you have any idea with appeals, how those salespersons that appeal and are granted a license, what do you think your success rate is there? Do you know?
Right now, we're at 75%. When I was here last, one was denied due to the salesman had filed two licenses, one saying he didn't have a felony, the other saying that he had. And we told him that if you're going to do that, you're going to bring extra heat on our dealership. So we didn't stand, and that's why he's not here. Corey Millsaps
Let me
was.
make sure I understood what your response was. You're saying that 75% of your license appeals are successful?
For me, yes, sir. I have 4
Okay.
that I've been here, and out of those 4, this is number 4. But if he is granted a license, then that would be the 3.
Whatever appeals are granted, we hope they're all successful.
Yes.
But
I was simply saying the not denials that we had. Since I've been there, we've had 4, and one of them we said no.
3 out of the 4 are doing okay so far.
We've stood behind, yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Further questions from the commission?
How long has he been working for you again?
Been in detail since December. His employment date, he'd have to tell. I'm sorry, I don't know that exact date when he was employed, but when he was denied a license, we moved him to detail, so he's not allowed to speak to customers or deal with them in any way. Just clean the cars, and then salesmen will take the car and deliver it.
You mentioned earlier that he was a vital asset to you, that he's been there for 2 months.
He had sold for a few months. I don't know the exact date, but he was. Certain salesmen are either very good at engaging and finding out what the customer wants and helping them, and some are just trying to sell the car and they don't listen. And so that, as a sales manager, can be difficult because you need to basically help the customer but sell the car. And certain salesmen are able to acclimate themselves with that customer, find out what they need, what they can afford, and then voice that back to us in the finance department so that we sell the right car at the right price and at the right payment.
Given that short period of time that he's been with you, you can assure that he's a vital asset? That sort of throws me off a little bit.
I think maybe assure might be too strong, but I would stand behind him. I feel after I've done this as many years as I have, you can tell pretty quickly if a salesman is in tune with their job and their roles as selling the car and listening to the customer, or they're just there to just sell a car and make a check. There's definitely a difference between the two. In our dealership, we sell to a lot of people that don't have a lot of money, so you have to be careful because you can't sell more than they can afford. That can cause a problem for the lender, the dealership, and so on. So that's what I'm trying to say is I feel like he understands his role.
Mr. Tate, were you encouraged to come to that dealership by other employees, or did you just come by there and apply for a job?
I actually just came by to apply for a job. I had worked sales, 8 years previous to before, and I had worked at the Rush Fitness Complex, and I was very successful. I had 4 years of college. When it comes to sales, I was very successful as far as, being able to help people coming into the gym atmosphere. I was a general manager there, and, I just really love as far as being able to help others and being successful with, helping others. When it comes to sales with cars, I know that people have, their outlook on how people are, with car salesmen and, selling cars. And my opinion was I wanted to come in and be really successful, but at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I was helping. I'm not there just to sell a car. I'm there to obviously help and also make the face of our company be successful with being positive and making sure that I understand the people who are sitting in front of me, that I can help them the best I can. So when it comes to the mistakes that I've made in my life, I've completely learned from my mistakes. I'm married, I have 4 children, and I'm all about just making sure that I'm providing and taking care of my family. I'm looking to buy a house next year, so as far as saving money, that's my main focus right now, is just making sure that I'm doing the right things in my life. 36 years old, about to be 37. So with starting my career right now with Old Ben is the opportunity to be able to move forward, and about 20 years from now, I'll be able to retire. That's my focus. So, I definitely have some financial gain that I have, and I'm just very prepared to move forward in my life as far as financially with this company and be able to be successful in my life and in my family's life.
I'll make a motion that we approve the license.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner McNabb to approve the license, seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, call for a roll call vote. Yes for the motion would grant a license. No would, of course, not.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
No.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
No.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
motion carries.
State, you'll be granted a license to sell motor vehicles, state of
Thank you for the
Tennessee.
opportunity, guys. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. Donald A. Durant, Oak Ridge Nissan. Is Durant or Durant?
Durant, yes, sir.
Durant. Okay, thank you, sir. Welcome to the Motor Vehicle Commission. Let me get over to your case. All right. Sentence imposed 9/17/2009. Probation ends 6/22/18. Eligible 6/22/23. Theft, guilty to theft. Applicant sentenced to 3 years, 258 days of probation, order to pay $9,750 restitution. What are you doing now, sir?
Well, I was released in 2009. I went to Halfway House, Steps House in Knoxville, Tennessee, completed that program, completed Knox County Drug Court, started working as a counselor for Steps in the drug and alcohol. Been with them for, I guess, almost 5 years now. I was also the liaison for 8th Judicial Drug Court, and I got into the recovery community to try to help some other recovering addicts. That's the best way I know to stay clean. And I am currently on probation until I can pay my restitution off, and then I'll be released from probation.
Okay, on your application, let me get this clarified. Item 3 and then C, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And
Yes, sir.
it says no on this. Am I on the right one?
I must have mismarked it, but yes, sir, I have.
You check that with the staff. I don't want to misspeak. Is that what the staff sees, that he answered that no to felony conviction?
Indicate no.
Why would you do that, sir?
I sent my form in, I've spoke to them, and I also sent my arrest record along with my application. Felony along with my application.
You have to have recollection of that. Way to track that.
I did, I must have mismarked it. I did send my arrest record along with my application, and then I've since sent letters from.
What was the nature of the theft? What was the nature of your crime?
Sir, I was a contractor at the time. I did not complete the job. I had several jobs going on. I was in addiction. I did the crime. I did not finish the contracting work and was charged with theft.
Not finishing contract work.
You took money and didn't complete.
It was refurbishing
Oh,
bathrooms.
you took the money. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I got you.
And I was certainly guilty of that.
And have you made any efforts or any progress on the restitution?
Yes, sir. I'm currently paying several $100s each month as I can afford to. I don't make a lot as a counselor, but every month I take drug screens at least several times a month. I am making efforts to repay the restitution. Hopefully, I'll have it paid off this year.
Balance $9,750, or was that the amount you were ordered to pay?
No, sir. The balance was originally, I think, around $13,000, something like that, and I've made payments down. It should be below that $9,000 mark now.
Chairman, I've got a problem. They submit these back to us, and they still say no. I move that we send this back to the state and that they make application, as it should be, put all the facts in there, get it truthfully, because here I'm looking at a false document signed by him And here the dealership is supporting that. I can't accept that. So I vote against this.
Clarify your motion.
So I move we deny it.
All right, we have a motion to deny. Is that all that is in the context of your motion? Was there a caveat that he reapply? You moved it?
Well, they can reapply, sure.
My concern is I did send my arrest record, my felony arrest record, along with the application, and I wasn't trying to deceive, I can tell you that.
Well,
We have a motion now.
when this was denied, what did the statement say? What did you receive?
I due to felony.
Let me see if we
Due
get
to
a
a
second.
felony.
Let me see if we get a second, then we can discuss it.
Okay.
Okay, motion to deny this
Second.
application.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Norton. Discussion.
Question, when it came back to you, it was denied because of a felony, correct?
Well, actually, they had contacted the dealership and let me know that it was denied. I would certainly would not try to deceive about my sales license or my felonies.
Oh.
And if I did, it was an oversight, but yes, sir.
Not arguing whether it's an oversight or a fact. I'm looking at the facts that we have to
Yes,
make
sir.
a decision by.
It was denied, yes, sir.
So I think it should have been corrected.
I believe that it was.
Let me ask the staff to clarify that. Does, again, does staff have a recollection of the documents attached to this application?
Jason Gillum is going to respond to this.
I'm sorry, Ms. Shaw.
Jason Gillum, our complaints coordinator, will respond to this.
Okay, thank you.
According to our records, the first application received the question, "Have you ever been convicted of a felony?" was left blank. Our staff person, Mr. Lane, would have sent this back to the applicant, and when we received the application back, the applicant answered no on that question.
Were there other documents attached to the application as represented by this applicant?
It appears that the final judgment was sent to us on November the 20th, which would have been a day after receiving the application back.
Final judgment would have come from the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a copy of that document here? Could you pass that around to the,
It's on your iPads. It is the,
Right after the driver's license.
let's look at that for, I asked this in the form of discussion.
I see the first application where it's blank, and the next one is filled out no.
Which is the part that the applicant's in, I'm sorry to be so fuzzy on this, but I am. Documents attached that would disclose the felony conviction for this applicant, which document would that be?
that is the document directly after the driver's license and social security copy. And that is Criminal Circuit Court of Knox County.
Issue here with this motion is, was this intentional? Was this incorrect information intentional? And did the following documents supersede that and indicate that they're
Chairman Robert, Commissioner Jackson, just for discussion, I think that has some concern about the document before us was deliberately done I mean, we can vote up or down whether he denied or grant. I mean, we don't have to recommend it, what Commissioner Clayton has said. I don't want to disagree with you, but I think.
Well, I just think that we need accurate information.
Well, I personally, I have accurate information. I'm looking at it. I don't.
Well, I don't believe you are looking at accurate information.
Well, I'm looking
Because
at
one is blank and the other is no.
I'm looking at two documents that he submitted. He submitted a document saying that he had a felony conviction, and he signed a document saying no, and then he left one document saying blank. So I don't need a whole lot.
Oh,
Unless the dealer, is the dealership here? Is anyone from the dealership? I think we.
We were aware when the application was made that Don had some tasks that may be difficult for him to get the license. And we're also willing to come and stand in a gap for him today, once that denial came. So as a representative of the dealership, we were aware that he had a conviction. Jeopardize his securing a license.
Get a copy of this document when it was denied? Yes.
I did not. I saw from Don and our office manager also.
Anybody from the dealership?
Just the office manager, the comptroller that.
Nobody in the dealership saw that,
We
of
didn't
this
see-
question right here?
We didn't see any mistakes or any blanks. Once the application's filled out and made, we just assume that the boxes get checked in the right spot. And our Human Resources Department should have caught that. But as I was aware that there may be some problems.
The issue is the integrity of the document, and I can certainly see that. If,
Chairman, I'll withdraw the motion. Let you take it from there. How about that?
second to withdraw. also.
Same. Second
Now,
withdrawal.
Let me speak to that if I can. We can deny it today, and this applicant can reapply and do it the right way without any promise of approval. I think the chance, you're, sir, by having this filled out incorrectly, once blank and then once with a no, you have lessened your chances to get approved, even if we get beyond this point, because there's an integrity issue here. That's what our statute would call for, is we feel that we're comfortable with your integrity going forward. Now, with that said, we can, since the second hasn't been withdrawn, I assume that we're still have a live motion. Vote it down, and this applicant could reapply.
It was withdrawn.
Second was withdrawn, okay, all right, pardon me. Second was withdrawn, so we have no motion. Now,
I make a motion, we deny it.
Commissioner Jackson, seconded.
motion by Commissioner McNabb to deny the license and seconded by Commissioner Jackson. Discussion of that motion. Mayor calls for a roll call vote.
Chairman Roberts,
Clarification for the motion would be to deny, yes.
yes.
Okay.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton, Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
motion carries.
Regrettably, sir, you won't be approved today. You can reapply at a later date.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to let you know that I wasn't trying to deceive on that form, though. Anyway, thank you.
Travis R. Greer, Ford Lincoln of Cookville. Merkel, I assume you represent Mr. Gear?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Patrick Merkel. I'm an attorney here in Nashville at the law firm of Cameron Worley.
Applicant pleaded guilty to possession of over 70 pounds Schedule 6 substance for resale, sentenced to serve 180 days prior to being released for 10 years probation, and was fined jointly with co-defendant in the amount of $50,000 to be paid to the 13th District Drug Task Force. Imposition date 1/18/11, probation ends 21, and eligibility date 26. Mr. Merkel.
Chairman, members, Mr. Greer's been here before. He applied and was here, I believe, in January. At that time, the owner of Ford Lincoln and Cookeville couldn't be here. He talked about it. I'm not going to belabor this. Some of you may remember, and it's better for you guys to hear from him. However, a couple things just to note. Since that time, Mr. Greer's become involved in the DARE program in Putnam County and is giving back to his community and talking about the dangers and the downsides of drug use. He's started to attend a drug counseling program. He has not had any problems with his probation. I've got a letter that I'm going to pass out right now. Along with some other letters there, but a letter from his probation officer. He's part of his probation, he undergoes drug screening. He hasn't had any problems with his drug screenings. There's also a letter from the Putnam County Jail Administrator that talks about his remorsefulness for this action, his action in while he was incarcerated, and a letter from an attorney in Cookeville along with some friends. This time Travis has brought the general manager and owner of Ford Lincoln of Cookeville to speak for him. They'll answer any of your questions.
Thanks, sir. If you'll allow us to interview Mr. Gear. Gear or Greer, sir? Gear. Gear, thanks, sir. If you'd like to address the commission, then we'll ask you some questions. You might start with what you sold. What is a Schedule 6 substance?
Marijuana.
Okay. Questions by the commission members?
It seems like a pretty light sentence to me, just a year of a lot of probation. 70 pounds seems like a lot. I don't know if it is or not, but that just seems like a light sentence. We see a lot of sentencing in here, and can you explain why you think that was?
I paid $50,000 to the drug task force. Had to sell some property that I had to do that. And like I said, done 6 months in jail day for day. No problems there. And also have probation for 10 years. That was my first time getting in any trouble, so.
You doing at the time? What was your job that you were?
My family had some rental property and I was overseer over it.
Value of 70 pounds of marijuana. Street value, I guess, would be the question. How's this fine coming along? Were you
I paid it in full. I've got a fine I'm paying, but the contribution, the $50,000 I was ordered to pay, I paid it all full. I owe like $1,200 or $1,300 in fines still.
How were you able to do that, income-wise?
Sold some rental property that my mother had. She sold that, and we paid that.
Mom helped you pay this back?
Are you still doing the same job you did last time you were here before you were denied?
Yes, I'm the liaison department at the Ford Lincoln of Cookeville. I'll help deliver cars, order someone that gets a different set of wheels, do that, help set appointments up for service, dealer locate cars. Sometimes they'll have me drive to go get another car if they don't have the correct car there. Just whatever they need me to do there.
How long have you been employed with this company?
About 8 months. June was the day I started last June.
Clerk, may we hear from his supervisor?
Yes, sir.
Welcome,
How you
sir.
doing?
And your name, sir?
Morning. Mike Petrello. I own the dealership.
Tell us about how you're going to help, how you would help this gentleman
You know,
get on the straight
I'm
path.
very blessed to actually have Travis. He was a recommendation to me in the dealership, and his ability to we have a really kind of crucial employment process. So it was kind of our first time where we actually had somebody clear through our background screenings and all of our testing that actually did not qualify for a license. So this was our first time that we encountered it as a dealership. We have over 120 employees. I have over 20 salespeople, and I've never had a problem in the past getting somebody through. I've never even been through an appeal process, but with him, he immediately kind of came on staff, and he works really, really well with others. So when he got denied for the license, instead of me just, I guess in the past, we've just told him, unfortunately, he can't work here. However, he's really good with the customers, so we found a position in the dealership, which is a liaison department. So their primary role is just for customer service. They do everything from service appointments, sales appointments, to scheduling for accessories, delivering cars, going over options with customers. So he's really, really, really good with customers. And at the time, I wasn't really ready to let him go until I had an opportunity to at least appeal it. When we appealed it the first time, unfortunately, I couldn't make it myself, so he got denied, and so I decided to keep him on staff and come myself this time to hopefully give him the opportunity to do it. It's tough when you see him. A lot of our salespeople are very successful, so we have 20 guys and we sell close to 300 cars. They all make really good money. They do really well. So for him, it's almost he just wants that opportunity to be able to do that same thing. He's very good at it.
Questions for this gentleman, or
What is your name again?
Mr. Gear?
Mike Petrello.
Okay. And what position do you hold there?
I own the dealership.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, we grant the license.
Motion by Commissioner McNabb to grant the license, seconded by Commissioner Galvin. Any discussion of the motion? None. We call for roll call vote, and a vote in the affirmative would be to grant the license.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Your congratulations. Good luck, sir. Todd W. Lewis, Tim Castellaw Ford. Morning, sir.
Morning.
Let me get caught up here real quick. Mr. Lewis, under the felony denial, applicant charged and pleaded guilty to the sale of Schedule II substance, sentenced to 3 years. Time was suspended to time served, supervised probation and $2,000 fine. Imposed 5/13, probation ends 5/14, eligible 5/13/19. What is a Schedule II, sir? Would you step a little closer to the mic?
Methamphetamines.
Okay. Like a prescription type thing? You weren't making it, you were
Oh,
getting prescription?
no.
Okay. All right.
I was not.
Where are you working now, sir?
Work for Tim Castellaw, Ford.
What do you do there? Actually, let me let you pull that mic down a little bit toward you, if you will.
Actually, I just applied for the job a month or so ago, and license, and since it's been denied, I've just been taking tests and catching up on the tests that is required to sell cars and stuff like that. I've been in the car business 28 years. I've been in the automobile car business for 28 years.
What is your history
my whole
there?
life.
Were you in sales, or were you?
I actually owned a Ford dealership at one time in my life. I sold it in 2008. I started as a salesman in Airport Toyota here in Memphis. In Memphis, and in '87, and spent my whole life in the car business, and through a lot of divorce, a lot of bad decisions. I got in trouble, and I haven't tried to apply back in the car business since I got in trouble. I completed a rehab, 8 months rehab rehabilitation. I have had completed my probation of 3 years. I worked as a safety guy in the construction steel industry, trying, because of my license situation. But truth is, sir, it's all I've ever done is a car business. And I'm a member of the First Presbyterian Church in Trenton, Tennessee. My life is, I'm engaged. But anyway, that's.
Who were you selling to? What, I don't see it here.
Actually, I didn't sell any to anyone, sir. I was asked to carry it from here to here, and I delivered it to somebody, and I've never sold anything like that in my life. So, it's not that.
Minor?
No. It was, actually, it turned out to be an informant. She was paid $700 to do this, and it was like less than 2/10. It wasn't even. But anyway, I was asked to take it, and I took it, and the whole point of it is that I was doing wrong myself, but I don't sell drugs. I've never sold a drug in my life. But actually, the judge in the case, when I told the whole story, he agreed with me. He said, but the problem is, Todd, so he gave me an opportunity to turn into a best interest plea. So that's what I did. I had a best interest plea in this case, meaning it's my best interest to go ahead and go with what they're saying. Although he agreed, he didn't believe I did that. But she was an informant. In case I lost the case, I could actually go to jail for 3 years. Instead, I took probation for 3 years. So I was gambling there. If I fought it any further. So he gave me that opportunity to do that, so I took it.
Questions for Mr. Lewis?
Yes, Commissioner Jackson, I was looking at his application. The one that was sent in February the 27th, make sure I'm looking at it right. Yeah, that was stamped February 27th. Looked like he had no, and then crossed out yes. And then if you go to the one on March the 3rd, 2015 that he sent in, have you ever been convicted of a felony? He has no on that one.
That's an oversight, sir. Tim Castelaw and Frankie and everybody in concern, they all know my history. I've been knowing these guys all my life, and I even sent in the proper paperwork of my felony. I never once tried to hide what I've done.
Are you the one that changed it to yes on the application? Because where it said no and it was marked out, and then later was changed to yes. Are you the one that changed it to yes?
I think the lady in the office, they come to me with it, and I think they may have done that, ma'am. See, I completed the probation. I obviously it was just an overlook on my part, because I never would try to hide anything like that. I mean, there was nothing to hide anyway. They all know me real well.
Tell me your experience. You were a Ford dealer, you said? You were a dealer operator?
Yes.
You had a dealer license?
Lewis Milligan Ford, Trenton, Tennessee.
Trenton, Tennessee?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I was approved, 2001, I was approved for a Ford dealership, and sold it in 2007, I believe. Like I said, I spent my whole life in it. I started out from the ground. I went from there to a used car dealership, to a wholesale operation, to being able to buy a Ford dealership.
Why'd you sell it?
The Ford dealership? It was partners with a family member, and for that reason right there, we decided to split the deal, and we sold it.
Do you ever have any complaints filed against you with the Motor Vehicle Commission when you were a dealer?
Oh, well.
Have you ever been to the Motor Vehicle Commission as a salesperson with any kind of complaints in any way?
Oh, ma'am, not at all.
Commissioner Jackson, this is just for the staff. Applicant makes a applicant for a license. Do the staff go and check, kind of based on what Commissioner Vaughn has indicated? Do we do a little background check to see if they've ever owned a dealership or ever sold cars? Or, I mean, do we ever do that, or is that part of the routine of what the staff does? I'm not sure. I'm just asking the question. Okay.
Louis, you've been with the dealership for 1 month, is that correct?
Maybe a little over a month.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that you know the guys from Tim Castleview pretty well. How long have you known them, and what's your all's relations?
I've known Tim Castelaw ever since I was a dealer. He was a dealer. We would go to dealer meetings, travel together quite a bit. He's a good friend of mine. And when I decided, like I said, I hadn't made any efforts to get back into the car business until now. And when I decided to, I called Tim, and he said, "Come right on." And also know Frankie too, the GM there. I know him real well also.
Hear from your general manager.
How you doing?
Yes, sir. Fine. Your name, sir?
I'm sorry?
Your name?
Frankie Markle.
Markle?
Markle. Todd and I've probably known Todd 10 or 12 years. Once, one of Mr. Castelaw's buddies had called and told us that Todd was looking to get back in the car business. Mr. Castelaw and myself sat down, had probably an hour meeting, called the comptroller in for probably another 30 minutes. Talked about it a long time. Because we had known him a long time, had him come to the dealership, sat down with him, closed door, talked about his past. At that point, called the rehabilitation center. He had gone through the process, no problems at all. Called his pastor, talked to him. He's recently engaged, trying to get his life back in order. We do drug testing, random drug testing, and we want to give him an opportunity to make himself get back on the right path. He used to own a dealership, got a lot of customers, got a big customer base, got an advantage over just somebody walking in, starting at a car lot. We've got a very family-friendly dealership, and we want to make sure he's successful. And anything that we can do, we're going to do it to make sure he's successful.
What, if anything, do you know about the glitch in the application where it's initially answered and no for the felony conviction and then crossed out? Or?
I was obviously had him fill out an employee packet, handed it to my Miss Deborah, the lady at the office. I did not look over it myself. If I would have looked over it, I would have seen it. When it got sent back, I went straight to Todd, asked him, The response was, my probation was over. And I said, Todd, you need to read the question more clearly. That's not what it's asking. So we've had the discussion about that. That was the misunderstanding. The fact that his probation was over was the answer, and of course we discussed that for that purpose.
Thought the oversight,
When it came back, I didn't catch it before it was sent. When it came back and it was denied, and that was pointed out. Well, that's when Michelle, the comptroller, we had to get the forms and documents that you guys needed. That's when she crossed it out, put yes, and we sent it back in with his proper paperwork that you requested to have the hearing.
Markle? Mr.
So
McNabb?
what you're saying when, I assume Todd filled out this application himself?
That's correct.
Okay, and he thought the felony went away?
I'm, not that it went away, but his probation was over. I'm not sure that he completely read the question. That's a question for him. When I went to him and asked him, why did you mark no, that was the answer, that my probation was over. So no, I mean, obviously, I knew his past. I knew that he had been to rehab. I've known him for 10 or 12 years, so.
And the office then marked through it?
When
And
it
that's
was
not
sent,
Todd, that's the office put yes.
right, Michelle, the comptroller, when it came back denied, and I would have to look at the handwriting, but I'm pretty sure she marked through the no, put yes, and then we sent in the appropriate paperwork.
Chairman, I'll move that we approve it.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner McNabb. Motion by Commissioner Clayton, seconded by Commissioner McNabb. Discussion of the motion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you. Can I ask a question? Do we resubmit a new application, or is the license, does it come to the store to make sure we're legal?
Send that to Mr. Gillum.
License will be approved based on the application that we have.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jared A. Dunn, Larry Hill Imports. Dunn, good morning. Welcome to the commission. Let me get up to speed. Okay, Mr. Dunn, denial due to a felony conviction, 5 counts, pled not guilty. Applicant was found guilty on counts 1 and 5. Count 1 was conspiracy to distribute and possess more than 5 grams of cocaine base. Count 2, possession with intent to distribute less than 5 grams of cocaine base. Original sentence of 145 days was amended to, 145 months was amended to 116 months on 6/4/09 and amended again on 11/9/11 to 97 months. Applicant provided a document showing supervised release beginning on February 28, 2012. The document also appears to show that the applicant's probationary period may have been discharged in 2014. However, this cannot be substantiated. Okay. Did we address, or the document also appears to show that the applicant's probationary period may have been discharged in 2014, but it cannot be substantiated. Do you have any documentation for that, sir?
just what we have with us.
If you want to clarify that for the sake of your application, you can do that, or we can.
Could you explain to me the question? So,
Says the probationary period may have been, the probationary period ending in 2014 is unsubstantiated.
I was released in 2014 on probation last year. My probation time was over. I originally had a 4-year sentence of probation, but because of good behavior and following the compliance of the rules, I was released by my probation officer.
Go ahead and address the commission if you like, and tell us about your circumstances, if you would.
Well, my circumstance started off in 2004. I was living a lifestyle. I was young, got involved in some things that I shouldn't got involved in, some decisions that I've made. I confess that I was guilty of it. Bad choices. I was 22 years old. Was arrested, was sentenced to 12 years in prison. During that time, various laws kicked into motion, one being the crack law, which reduced my time. Then another law came into commotion, which again reduced my time. I originally served about 7 years in prison, with 1 year also in pretrial was home confinement and probation. During that time, I've had a long time to think. I'm not that same person. I'm not that person. During the time since of my release, I'm a pastor of a church for 2 years. I have a school for youth and young adults that focus on helping youth and young adults make the right choices and decisions so that they can be law-abiding, tax-paying citizens of whatever county or state that they reside in. I travel. I also, on a weekly basis, teach at Bradley County juvenile justice system, life skills, leadership principles, and also re-entry programs. And I'm just looking for a second chance. That person is not me. I've learned from my mistakes. I confess, I did do it. But since 3 years, I've been home, I've been released for 3 years. I've been trying to get some type of financial stability so that I can support my family. Been married to my wife for 11 years. I have 4 children, 3 biological children, 1 that I've adopted. And right now, I just want to be able to get my feet up under myself so that I can give back to my family and also get started on a career for myself.
Bit of a personal question, but in light of your felony conviction, you and your wife were able to adopt a child?
Well, here's the situation. Here's what happened. We had a program we had a feeding program at our church, and a lady just dropped the child off. We've had the child for going on almost 2 years now. We're in court right now, even with the situation. We haven't had a problem with the state. We haven't had any problem with the state with adoption. We have legal custody of the child, and it hasn't been a problem.
Questions, commissioners?
Approval. Move approval.
Approved by Commissioner Clayton, seconded by, who seconded that? Commissioner McNabb. Discussion of the motion? Hearing none, we'll call for a roll call vote. Ms. Shaw?
Chairman Roberts,
Yes?
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
motion carries.
Congratulations, Ms. Dunn. Good luck. Aaron M. Graham. E&J Motors. Welcome, Ms. Graham. Let me get. Graham was, applicant was denied due to being charged and convicted of forgery in the first degree in the state of Georgia and sentenced to 10 years probation, $1,550 fine, and further paid restitution to the victim. Sentence imposed 10/19/09. Probation ends 10/19/19 and would be eligible in 10/19/24. Ms. Graham, who was the victim in this felony?
I didn't know the girl. I had wrote a check on her, but I didn't know the girl. At that time, I was a single mom, wasn't working, made a mistake.
You wrote a check, you forged a check from someone else's account, and how'd you find the check? Did you just pick it up?
My daughter babysitted for her. I mean, I didn't know her personally, but my daughter had been babysitting, and this was like back in 2009, and I was just, wasn't thinking.
This was your daughter's babysitter, or?
No, my daughter was babysitting for this lady, and I had went by there.
Daughter stole her checkbook or stole a check and brought it to you, and you?
No, I did that. I had went over by the house to check on my daughter, and then the checkbook was laying there, and at that time, I didn't have no money and wasn't working, and just done a stupid thing.
What size check was it?
One was like for $300, and one was like for $600. I mean, they totaled less than $1,500.
What'd you do with the money? What'd you do with the
Bought
funds?
groceries, bought the kids clothes.
Have you made restitution?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm on unsupervised probation. I've abided with everything I was supposed to do.
Currently employed?
Yeah.
What do you do now?
Now I just do like customer service, title work. I do all the internet, answering all the internet responses or respond to them. I work for my parents' company. They own T&J.
Who'd you bring with you?
Dad.
He owns the company?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And sir, we'd like to hear from you. Would you like to, your name is, and you own the company?
Sorry, do I?
Your name is?
Terry. Holly.
Holly, okay. And how long have you been in business, sir?
38 year.
Okay. Daughter does some of the title work for you?
Yes, sir.
Concerns or misgivings about her?
I don't know. We're all in good shape right now.
Okay. Any questions for the lady or the gentleman?
Have you ever been arrested before?
Like 16 years ago, my friend was driving my car, and in Tennessee, if you let somebody drive your vehicle, then you get the same arrest record. But I wasn't driving, and I was just charged because she was driving my vehicle, but that was like 15 years ago.
How many salesmen do you have at your store? It's just a family business, and
Been in the wholesale business all this time. This is the second retail lot we've opened, but I didn't keep the first one open too long. I sold it to Mountain View Ford there at 153, and now we're in Chattanooga Valley right now. We moved into Georgia because I was going to quit, and there ain't no such thing, I don't reckon. But anyhow, we reapplied for. We just got Tennessee license back here a while back, but I had Tennessee license for probably 15 or 20 years. Actually, I started here in Nashville with Alabama license, and we bought cars out of Nashville and took them back to Alabama. And that was in the 80s. Beeman, Pontiac, and E.B. Smith Chevrolet, and all those places.
you're opening a second store is what you're saying is?
Right now, yeah.
And she'll be running the other store, Karen will be?
Mm-hmm. Her and the boy.
Or when your daughter was in such dire straits that she got these checks and wrote them on someone else?
We was kind of distant at that time.
I was going to ask you, why didn't you help her out?
Yeah.
Y'all weren't getting along?
It could have been.
Okay.
But things happen.
Do you believe she proved herself now that she can run a company?
Yes, sir.
In what way? Can you give me some
Well,
examples?
she's been there. We opened a lot in Georgia there and kept it open for what, 3 years? And closed it and moved back to Chattanooga, and so because I've had to get closer because I have to run those dealerships every morning buying cars. And actually, I just bought a house there in Chattanooga Valley, so I'm 3 minutes from downtown Chattanooga where I buy, and I'm probably 15 from 153 by the airport. So, her and Dwayne will mostly be running this lot. I was going to retire, but I found out I was retarded, so there's a lot of difference there.
Who will she report to?
I never had no complaints out of Tennessee. I've had license, this is twice, but we don't do no phony garbage or anything. I was with TBA Credit Union, and we don't, when you turn in an application about cars having equipment on them, I never allowed a salesman to turn in a S10 truck with roll-up windows for power windows. I mean, that's, we always done everything straight and legal.
Prior to your conviction, where did you work, Karen?
We've always had family companies. We had a salvage yard. I worked at it.
Always been.
Yeah, and I worked at the Marriott Hotel. I used to work as their sales and service coordinator when they opened up the new one across from the aquarium downtown Chattanooga. I just worked a little bit everywhere. I worked at Chattanooga Auto Auction for about 2.5 years. So, but I've always went back to my dad's company.
Commissioner Jackson, I motion that we grant a license.
Motion to grant by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Fox. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, we'll call for a roll call vote. Ms. Shaw. Yes, we'll grant. Yes for the motion, we'll grant. No, we'll deny.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin. Commissioner Clayton. Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett.
Yes.
Commissioner Norton.
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
No.
Motion carries.
Graham will be granted a license. Good luck with your career. Yes, sir. Corey S. Harper, Carlock Nissan of Jackson. Morning, Mr. Harper.
Morning.
Welcome to Motor Vehicle Commission. We got application denied. Applicant pleaded guilty and convicted of possession of a Schedule II substance with intent to distribute over 0.5 grams. Applicant also been convicted of promoting and manufacturing of methamphetamine and possession of methamphetamine, for which he received a 4-year sentence. Sentence imposed 11/3/11. Probation ended 11/14/22 and would not be eligible until 11/14/27. Harper, are you getting out of that business for good?
Yes, sir. After getting in trouble, I spent 13 months in jail. Then I was sentenced to, also part of my sentencing was a year in rehab. Attended Teen Challenge of Memphis. After completing that program, I stayed on staff for about 2.5 years with other men under me as a counselor. I'm working on technology. I brought letters from the judge, Don Allen, in Jackson Circuit Criminal Court, the judge that sentenced me, and also from my probation officer. I'd like to hand those out if that's okay.
First time you've not been in the car business before?
No, sir. I was a farmer. I farmed most of my life with my father. Went through some hard times. That's when my addiction went went south, as you could say. It wasn't long after that I found myself in trouble in jail, and
What type of farming did your family do?
cotton farming. That's the only kind there is.
Cotton, yeah.
Were you taking meth and making it too, or what?
Yes, sir. I was making it for personal use. Because of the amount that I had on me, it's a manufactured, distribute, and sale. It's all one charge.
So how long were you taking this meth?
The first time I used drugs at all, I was about 19 years old, and then I probably 4 years.
All I've seen is on TV, and it looks like those people don't pull out of that. How'd you pull out?
Well, when I went to jail, again, my addiction was the worst and best thing that ever happened to me. While I was in jail, I got saved. From there, I went to the Teen Challenge Ministry through the work of the Holy Spirit, and the men there at the program, I was able to pull through. You're right. I know a lot of young men that didn't make it.
Where did you manufacture this? What location?
Or at my shop, in my farm shop, where we live.
And your rest of your family didn't know, or was this a?
Oh, absolutely not. No, sir. I was able to keep my addiction hidden for, well, up until I got in trouble. I mean, when it came out, nobody had a clue.
Questions for Mr. Harper? I noticed you brought some folks with you. Would you like for them to address the commission?
Yes, sir. I brought my general manager, the director of operations, and the comptroller.
Okay. Which one would like to address the commission?
Glad to.
Are you the general manager, sir?
I am. Jim Surratt's my name.
Your last name again?
Surratt, S
Surratt.
like Sam.
Welcome to the commission, sir.
Thank you.
Tell us about your knowledge of Mr. Harper and obviously why you think he'll
Corey
work out.
applied to come to work for us 3, maybe 4 months ago. I hate to say that because he's standing here. Hopefully we can get him approved today. But I've done this for well over 20 years, and he's by far the most talented guy I've ever come across. This is the first time I've ever come to an appeal. Again, I've done it for a long time. If somebody comes in, they're declined, we just let them go and move on. Dynamic with customers, always willing to help out, do anything he asks. That's the reason I brought our chief operating officer of the group. We're a pretty large group. We've got 14 or 15 stores. Bill runs all the stores, and the controller, just so she can also vouch for him, works his days off, comes in early. He didn't tell you he recently got married. His wife's an attorney. I mean, the guy's just, and I have no tolerance for people doing bad things, but sometimes when you're 23 or 24, you do stupid things, and I think this was more of doing a stupid thing than being a bad guy, and that's the reason we've decided to come in today, and that's the reason I asked my boss and the controller to come with me is I'll stand up for the guy. I believe he's going to do a great job. Again, he's probably the most talented guy I've ever seen come on board in the car business, and I think he's ambitious. He wants to be a finance manager. He wants to run his own store one day, and I think he deserves that opportunity.
Would someone else from the store like to speak briefly? You're the director, sir?
Yeah, I'm the COO for the Carlac Automotive Group. Okay. I've been doing this 40 years. I'm not going to say he's the most talented salesperson I've ever seen because I've seen a bunch of them, but I will tell you that he's right up there with the guys. I personally have a son that I had to have arrested at 15 years old but for distribution of drugs, so I know kind of what this young man's gone through. And excuse me, but my son beat it. This gentleman referred to questions about beating it. I know they can beat it. He got a full academic scholarship to a major SEC university, and he's on his way to being a very productive adult.
Questions from commission members thus far?
Do you think there's any, you said cotton was a major crop. Of course it is. Soybeans is second. Corn. But you think you might find a little else growing down in West Tennessee?
A little what?
Something else growing in West Tennessee? A little marijuana?
You won't, not anywhere near me.
In some of them hollers down there, they might be. Okay.
He's saying that because he's from there.
Yeah. I have no knowledge of that, Mr. Clayton.
I make a motion, we approve the license.
Second.
McNabb makes a motion to grant the license, seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Discussion of the motion. Hearing none, chair calls for roll call vote. Ms. Shaw?
Chairman Roberts,
Yes?
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Mr. Harper. Good luck with your career, sir.
Thank you guys for opportunity.
Todd H. Nelson, Green Light Car Sales. Nelson, are you present, sir? Mr. Nelson apparently is not present. We will need to,
Commissioner Jackson, motion that we uphold the denial from the staff.
Second.
Commissioner Jackson makes a motion to uphold the denial. Commissioner McNabb seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for roll call vote. Yes will be to deny, uphold the denial. No will be, of course, not to.
Chairman Roberts,
Yes?
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton,
Yes.
Commissioner Fox,
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That concludes, I believe, that concludes our salesperson's appeals. We'll go to dealer appeals. Anyone need a break? Okay. Let's try to do it in 10 minutes. That was a quick response. 10-minute break, please.
Be careful. Hurry back.
All right.
Five, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Let's reconvene and the Motor Vehicle Commission meeting. We'll get back on to the agenda, which is dealer appeals. And we have two of those this morning. Carl L. Blackman, The World of Heaven Sent Cars, LLC. Mr. Blackman, welcome, sir. Get the reason for denial, or maybe I should let Director Shaw. While I'm looking for my place, you want to take this one, Director Shaw, and give us the reason for denial?
The World of Heaven Sent Cars LLC, Carl Blackman. Applicant was originally denied for falsifying multiple applications with the commission. Applicant appeared before the commission at the previous commission meeting on January 12, 2015 with an incomplete application. The commission denied the application, and the applicant was instructed by the commission to complete the application and reappear before the commission after it was completed. The application was completed January 16, 2015.
When was the first application, Ms. Shaw? You might have stated that, I just didn't hear it. He was in the last calendar year.
Yeah, yes, I'm going to ask Jason Gillum to review this with you because he's a little more familiar with the case.
Actually, I would like to turn that over to Miss Brenda Suddeth. She's our licensing expert, so Brenda, if you want to come up here.
Musical chairs.
It's always good to have a deep bench.
Mr. Blackman had actually completed applications in 2013 and answered no, that he had never been convicted of a felony. He had also transposed a couple of his social security numbers. So when he was ran against the felony register, he never came up as having a felony arrest. So the commission voted that we deny the application. He complete a new application, meet all the new requirements, complete all the application correctly with the correct information, and he would come back for a denial or approval of his license, which he did meet all of those requirements in January of 15, right after the meeting here where he was denied. It took him about 5 days to get a new application back in.
And the page after, I guess it would be the second page, is a timeline for some of these denials and some of the action that's been taken. That's
Yes, sir.
a summary of that. Everyone see what I'm referring to?
He had wanted to change his name, and then in the midst of changing his name, that's what initiated a new application on his part, and that's where the information got transposed or was answered no to having felony.
Want to change the name of the entity?
Yes, sir.
And that entity is now
He
the World of
wanted
Heaven
to-
Sent Cars, LLC.
He wanted to change it from Ideal Image to the World of Heaven Sent LLC. He still kept it as an LLC.
That one in here, I can't find it.
At the end of the top bookshelf on the far right.
In there separate then?
Yes.
Oh, no wonder I can't find it.
This Commission, Jackson, just want to ask the staff, new application, it has been completed correctly
Yes,
according to
sir.
the statute?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson, I motion that we, base staff outlining that all the information has been completed, that we grant the dealership application.
Motion to grant the dealership application for World of Heaven Sent LLC by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Galvin. Discussion of the motion.
Why was it, why'd you mark no for, let's say, 13 years?
Well, I had received all my rights back.
What?
I had received all my rights. I had got my rights back. So that's why I just marked no, because I had got my right to run for politics, rights to I've served on the jury duty. I've did everything. So I was granted my rights. See, my conviction was like in 1996. I was like 23, and I'm going on 42 now. So I made a mistake coming out of high school. But I've been in the car business for over 18 years.
Is the state gonna, I noticed on his inspection report, he had no titles and temporary tag log violations and missing numbers. Are we gonna keep an eye on him from now? Does he know how to carry on business?
Yes, sir. We have a full-time, 2 active full-time enforcement agents down there now, and they are aware that we need to watch his temporary tag log. And I also have access to that database now from the Department of Revenue and can supply them with that information.
When was this applicant licensed? He was licensed at one time. Has he ever?
He was actually licensed for salespersons in 2001. Then he applied in 2005 for Heaven Sent Cars. That's when he first answered no, that he had never been convicted of a felony. He also answered on his financial background disclosure that his 2 middle numbers of his Social Security number was reversed. Attorney Glandorf at the time discovered this when he was reapplying in 2013 when he went to do the name change.
The license was under which name entity?
It was under Heaven Sent Cars. Then he was also had Ideal Image Auto Sales. He went to change the name. He had 2 dealerships. On Ideal Image Auto Sales is the one he decided to change the name of Heaven Sent Cars LLC. So he went to the Secretary of State and opened another charter, which initiated a whole new application, and that's when he answered no to having a felony again on the application and on the salesperson's app, and gave the incorrect Social Security number.
Or do you have some problem interpreting the question, have you been convicted of a felony?
No, sir. Really what happened was I've always been Heaven Sent Cars. I was just changing the name to the World of Heaven Sent Cars. But once I got denied, my father had a call out and it was named Ideal Image. So what happened was I just gave him my information and he submitted it so I could get salesman license so I could keep working. And somehow once he turned in the application, I think he might have he's 67 years old. He might have made a mistake on my social or whatnot. But I've been in business as Heaven Sent Cars since, I've been in business selling cars since '97. And like I said, I started Heaven Sent Cars in 2001. And I just decided to change the name to the World of Heaven Sent. But
The question is though, sir, it looks as though
the only reason
that you have answered no.
Yes, sir. That was because I had got my rights back. So I was thinking I was okay because I had got all my rights back. But I guess I misinterpreted the question wrong, because by me having my rights, I was like, I wasn't a convicted felon anymore. But the last hearing, I noticed, you all told me about it, so that's why I got everything right, sent in a new application, and ready to go to work.
It took you 5 times to catch on to that. Well, what I mean is you just kept answering no, and you kept getting denied, and you kept answering no and getting denied. I don't know what the problem here is with interpreting that. Now, anyone on staff, please correct me if I'm saying that wrong, but you're going to operate this business yourself. Who will be helping you? Because you certainly need, from indications of, I think we had an inspection of temp tags at one time that didn't pass, and something else. What else was that didn't pass, Ms. Sudduth? I remember you saying it, but not what.
I actually do not remember other than the temp tag log, sir.
Also open titles on the premises.
Open title.
Yes, sir.
And that's a bad one, sir.
Then there was another salesman that used to work for me. His name was Greg Cox, but by me being the owner of the dealership, I was responsible for it, and I do take full responsibility of his mistakes, but he's no longer with me anymore.
Worked for you? Why was he handling titles? Was he the manager or you the manager?
Yes, sir. He was, I was just the owner. He was running everything, and he, I guess, made a mistake on that, and I had to pay the fine, and I paid the fine and everything. And at the last hearing, that's what you spoke to me about.
Okay, let's see, we do have a motion. Any further discussion of the motion? And the motion was to,
Motion was to approve. It was by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Galvin.
further discussion? Hearing none, Director Shaw call for roll call vote.
Chairman Roberts.
No.
Commissioner McNabb.
No.
Commissioner Galvin.
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Murray.
No.
Commissioner Trickett.
Yes.
Commissioner Norton.
No.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-4.
Backman, you'll be granted your license.
Thank you all.
Congratulations, sir. All right. Peter Locke, GBM LLC. Morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen of the commission. My name is Sean McKinney of the Nashville Bar Association. I'm here on behalf of Ms. Locke. Locke received her notice of denial, and she would like to be heard on these issues.
Hey, go ahead and ask her some questions and let her.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Let me get up on that file.
Before you begin, I would ask that you look on your iPads there on the library. You will find a file under GBM with Danita Locke. That is the supporting documentation that the staff and I have provided to you before you consider the application today.
Okay. Everyone find that? We have to go back to the library, and it's under a separate, its own book, GBM LLC. Okay. Applicant is appealing the denial of the dealer application based on TCA codes 55-17-114A1D, which states the applicant or license holder has filed an application for a license that, as of its effective date, was incomplete in any material respect or contained any statement that was, in light of the circumstances under which it was made, false or misleading with respect to any material fact. And also TCA codes annotated 55-17-102-16, which states motor vehicle dealer means any person not excluded by subdivision 17 engaged in the business of selling, offering to sell, soliciting or advertising the sale of motor vehicles or recreational vehicles, or possessing motor vehicles or recreational vehicles for the purpose of resale, either on that person's own account or on the behalf of another, either as that person's primary business or incidental to that person's business. All right, the applicant's son, Scott Woods, has been previously denied licensure by the commission because of a felony conviction. GBM Motors at the Antioch and Smyrna location were both owned by Mrs. Jessica Spann. Mrs. Spann has provided statements that Mr. Woods, for all intents and purposes, was the owner, not her. She voluntarily surrendered licenses for both locations. Ms. Danita Locke, Scott Wood's mother, then applied for a charter for GBM LLC with the Secretary of State's office. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there is more, yeah. Commission staff is in possession of evidence indicating Mr. Woods is the owner of GBM LLC. Mr. Woods is not licensed in any capacity by this agency and appears to be selling vehicles without the proper licensure. Commission staff denied this application based on the evidentiary support provided by multiple parties showing that Danita Locke will not be responsible for day-to-day operations for GBM LLC and evidence indicating Mr. Wood is the owner of GBM LLC. If I'd have known the complexities, I'd have gotten Ms. Cooper to read that. But.
And I'm happy to and prepared to guide the commission through the application process and why it was denied. I can do that before you hear from Ms. Locke or after, whatever you all prefer.
Start with this question from Ms. Locke. Why do you want to be in the automobile business?
I've seen firsthand how profitable it can be, and I want to own my own business. That's why I filed for GBM LLC, so that I am the only decision maker. I'll be responsible for all the financial decisions. And rule number 1 for GBM LLC is that nobody will work for me unless they are licensed by the state of Tennessee. I want to make sure that everything is done 100% in accordance with the laws. I love the state of Tennessee. I'm 56 years old. I'm not a 22-year-old. I have a lot of background experience in business education. I've been a former business owner. I owned Danita's Design Boutique. I held a position for customer service relations for a Fortune 500 company. I have had experience in the car dealership business. I know that I can run a successful operation, and it's real important to me as far as the trustworthiness and integrity. Going forward, when I open this business, I'm going to be very careful about what kind of people and character are allowed to work for me, and want to make sure that everything is upheld correctly and done properly in accordance with the laws. I believe that my business experience attests to my competency to run a business. Additionally, I'd like you all to know that most of the people who stand before you are having to defend themselves against prior felonies or drugs or whatever. And I'd really like you to know that I've never been charged with anything. There's never been any charges filed against me. I've never even had a misdemeanor. When I was in school, I didn't even get sent to the principal's office. I believe in walking the right walk and doing the right thing, and that's why I want to go forward with this.
To address the staff comments that Mr. Woods is the owner of GBM LLC?
No, he is not. I've invested my money and my time in order to get this started. And I'm going to be the only decision maker in what goes on with this company.
Scott Wood's going to be employed by you?
Only if the state of Tennessee grants him a license in the future. Like I stated before, nobody's going to work for me that's not licensed by the state of Tennessee.
You decided to get into this business in place of your son. Yes. Now, well, I think we need to speak to this comment by the staff further. The staff is in possession of evidence indicating Mr. Woods is the owner of GBM LLC, and you say you have evidence showing that you own it. You own GBM LLC. Is that correct?
Yes.
Need to look at that, I think. I think that's important. Can we see some of that evidence? Could you show us that you own it, ma'am, or could the staff show that Mr. Woods owns it?
I don't have the packet of information with me, but I did file all the documents as far as the surety bond, and I went and applied for the taxpayer number and all this. So I did that myself. I paid the fees.
That to the commission?
Yes, I did.
That your LLC information?
Yes.
What about the picture here that says Scott Woods is GBM owner?
My point, I'm trying to establish who owns, first of all, who owns GBM.
I would like to ask Kim Cooper to address this.
I'm happy to. If you will look at the fourth page of the file on GBM LLC, you will see a chronology of the events leading up to the staff denial. I would take you first to Exhibit 1, which is the application of Mr. Charles Scott Woods for the previous entity of GBM. Mr. Woods' application was denied based on his felony convictions, which involved theft from a dealership that he ran. Mr. Woods, despite the denial of his application, worked for, and according to affidavits that we've obtained from Jessica Spann, the former owner, and Mr. Tim Holloway, a former employee, that it was actually Mr. Woods who was running GBM. On March 3rd, exhibit number 3, there is a investigative report from Mr. Dan Kelly, one of our investigators, who went out to GBM to investigate multiple allegations of fraud, and including odometer fraud, as well as misrepresentation. When he arrived at the location, he was met by Mr. Woods, who stated that he was the manager and was responsible for the financial operations, again, despite his non-licensure. On March 12th, Ms. Jessica Spann, the owner of GBM, came into our office and surrendered the licenses for both dealer locations of GBM. On March 13th, another investigator, Mr. Jimmy Williams, went out to GBM Motors, was met by Mr. Woods, who did not know that the licenses had been surrendered because he was not in contact with Ms. Spann at that point. I should note also that when Mr. Dan Kelly went out to investigate the matters the prior week, Mr. Woods, although indicating that he was responsible for everything, could not locate a single piece of paper or business document that Mr. Kelly asked for. Going forward to March 13th, Mr. Kelly served on Mr. Woods, or attempted to serve on Mr. Woods, a cease and desist. Based on the surrender of the licenses, Mr. Woods would not accept it. However, the salesperson that was there did accept it, and Mr. Woods was told by Mr. Kelly in no uncertain terms, this means your dealer license has been surrendered, do not operate or act in any way as a dealer. We then have on March 16th, 3 days later, Mr. Woods posting a commercial for the new GBM LLC Motors. There's a screen capture in your packet. That's exhibit number 6, where he is listed as the owner of GBM LLC. The location is the location that Ms. Locke has filed the application for, which Ms. Locke says that Mr. Woods is not the owner. I have Ms. Sudduth, who can speak to the fact that she has an email correspondence with Ms. Locke where Mr. Woods was the one that was going to meet for the inspection, the final inspection before the dealer application or dealer could be issued. There were other correspondence with Mr. Woods regarding this application. I myself had a voicemail from Mr. Woods last Thursday indicating how much he was looking forward to meeting me here today regarding the application for GBM LLC. But I will now at this point ask Ms. Huntsman to play for you the commercial that was posted on March 16th by Mr. Woods to YouTube for the new GBM LLC location.
Are you looking for a quality pre-owned car? Then come to GBM Motors. No credit, bad credit. If you have at least $1,000 down, you drive today.
Here at God Before Money Motors in Smyrna, Tennessee, we have clean title vehicles that we guarantee to ride and drive. We would be humbled and honored to earn your business. Don't you leave until you see me.
This commercial was posted 2 days before the application for GBM under Ms. Locke's name was
Are you
received by
looking
the
for a
staff.
quality pre-owned car? Then come to GBM Motors. No credit, bad credit. If you have at least $1,000 down, you drive today.
Here at God Before Money Motors in Smyrna, Tennessee, we have clean
On the screen capture before you, Mr. Scott Wood's name with GBM owner underneath his name.
Is this your son?
It is, and I do notice that that is for GBM Motors, not GBM LLC.
Who does the Secretary of State for Tennessee recognize as the owner of GBM? It's a corporation, isn't it?
For GBM LLC.
Right now, GBM LLC nor GBM have a dealer license, is that? Basically, this advertisement is basically unlicensed activity.
Correct. Yes, sir.
I mean, if we just want to start there.
Yes, sir. And as you see on the screen, that it's the same commercial you were just looking at, does state that that is GBM Motors LLC. That it didn't show earlier in the previous video you saw, but that one does. It's the very same video.
What's the status of our cease and desist with, is the cease and desist is with GBM LLC?
The cease and desist was for GBM. It is in the, I can't direct you to it right now because I'm not sure what page it's on, but the cease and desist was for both of their licensed locations for GBM Motors, GBM LLC, and any entities operating at that location.
Pretty apparent they're continuing business there under a cease and desist.
Yes, sir. And
What's next there? I mean,
we have an open complaint on that matter.
That's got to stop.
Yes, sir. We are moving forward within our legal
Well, that's
remedies
got
to do so.
In
Yes,
legal
sir.
terms, that's got the cease and desist. You can't operate without a license. And it's on the record that.
Also looks like they're going for a dealer license with just a slightly different name, and that's it.
Well, I'm not sure it's a different name, just a trade name in the advertisement. You can use any trade name you like, but you have to operate from that location. It's an unlicensed location by an unlicensed. Ms. Locke, do you dispute any of these facts? I'm not asking if you agree, but do you dispute any of these things? Any of these, because there are several of these things that are pretty.
If I can help
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Locke?
Absolutely.
First of all, Ms. Locke, going back to the GBM Motors that you saw, you're at the same company that you were looking to in the management or operations of that company,
Not at all.
the prior company.
No.
Since you have submitted your application, have you put forth any advertising, anything in the day-to-day or long-term operations of an auto dealership beyond applying for this application?
Not at all. Absolutely not.
At a hearing involving Ms. Spann, in a lawsuit involving Ms. Spann, Mr. Holloway, and Mr. Woods, did Ms. Spann disavow all statements regarding Mr. Woods' operations in this company?
Yes.
Okay. Does Ms. Spann have any ownership or any interest or any operating capacity in your company?
No, absolutely not. And she never.
And does Mr. Woods at this time, or has he, from the time you submitted your application, does he have a position in your company?
No, he does not. And he will not unless he.
Has the company that you are looking to create engaged in any way this advertised through yourself for the advertisement? for
Not
sale
at
of an
all.
automobile?
Nothing.
Are these things that are being advertised on television, does that have your blessing, your promotion, your
No.
anything?
No, not at all.
I may ask just a couple of
Please, Ms.
questions for
Cooper.
clarification. Ms. Locke, you were a licensed salesperson for the GBM Motors location.
I did work there shortly.
Okay, so you were somewhat involved with that business?
Shortly.
Okay. And you said a second ago that Mr. Woods would not be involved in your business until he's licensed, as you put it, correct? You did submit a salesperson application for Mr. Woods along with the application for GBM LLC, correct?
I did. He's passed 10 years past his offense.
Okay, so you do intend for him to be a salesperson should your dealer license be approved and his salesperson license be approved?
In time, if that, if you all do approve and allow him to work there, I would love for him to be a part of it. Otherwise, no, and he knows that.
Is Mr. Woods present today?
No, he has working right now.
Working where?
He has a
You're in control of this location that this advertisement is being run from. Own that or lease that, or are you in control of that in some fashion?
No, it shouldn't be being, portrayed or anything right now. I don't know anything at all about it.
Do you have property rights to it in some fashion, either a lease or a rent or
I don't have any involvement with that advertisement.
no, not the advertisement, the location, that building.
I have put rent down on that property. It's a very good location, a secure location. I think it would be a good place to establish a
What
business.
is the nature of your property rights to that property, just the property here?
The property?
Do you own it?
No, I do not own it. Well, I wanted to continue placing rent on the property so that we could open
Rent
up
it.
this new business there.
In the simplest form, you rent it from someone?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Are you renting it now?
We did go ahead and pay in hopes that you would uphold and allow me to operate my business there.
This commercial was dated March 13. March 13? was
March
it?
16th.
March 16th. All right, March 16th. So you were renting this at March 16th, this building. You were renting this building shown in this commercial, this location, on March 16th.
Turned in
this
a
commercial.
check. I turned in a check not too long ago here for April. I didn't pay the rent for March.
If I call this number here, who's going to answer?
Nobody will be answering right now because nobody's working there at that location. We got the cease and desist order and we just got out of there right then. Nobody's been working there. We're waiting to see if you'll approve me to open my own dealership, which I'm 56 years old. I'm well qualified. I've been a taxpayer here in Tennessee for 30 years. As I said, I've never had any trouble with the law whatsoever. And all I'm asking is for a chance to.
Well, yeah, we understand that you do not have a felony conviction. But what you are kind of in trouble with is the commission if you're operating an unlicensed location, which it seems to be. Now, it says GBM, you're applying for GBM, it says GBM. I mean, just, unless there's, and the staff connects the dots, you're involved with GBM or GBM LLC, whatever trade logo you want to use. I mean, all due respect to your good record as a citizen, I think you're stepping on the rules of the commission here.
Understand that. However, GBM Motors was started and based on a good premise. I would like to be able to see the name and the concept of GBM go forward and run in an appropriate manner and be a good service to the community, upstanding, have licensed salesmen at the property, uphold all the laws of the state of Tennessee. I hate to see that concept die because there's a lot of people out there that were satisfied with that, and I think there is an appeal, and it does speak to integrity. Unfortunately, mistakes I know have been made in the past, but I hate to see that concept die because I believe I can turn it around and make it a wonderful, successful business.
Look, since the date that the cease and desist order was issued, or since the date the license was terminated, under your control, or since the date that you've even filed your packet, has there been any at any location have you been involved or encouraged or advertised from the date that you have expressed your interest and filed anything with the state? Have you had anything or anybody under your control had anything to do with the sale of an automobile?
Not at all.
Go ahead.
Further questions or
I was
any
going to
motion?
follow up on your question there. I know you said you paid the rent for April. Is the lease in your name? Whose name's the lease in the property? I know you paid it, but whose property's who's it leased to?
I have not changed that yet. That would be something I would like to do going forward if you grant me my license. I hated to see us lose that location because it's a great location. It really is. It's very secure, and I feel like we could do real well there as a company.
Scott's name, the lease?
So,
Is that his inventory that's on the screen?
inventory that's on the lot is probably leftovers. It's not something that I would be selling. GBM LLC will only sell vehicles that is licensed to GBM LLC.
Where will you be obtaining your inventory?
There's different car auctions that I would be obtaining from, most notably ABC. I've also been to several others, Odessa, Mannheim, different car auctions.
Okay. And in anticipation of your license being granted, did you secure these locations or this location? At any sort of automobile dealership? To say that Mr. Woods will have nothing to do with your company unless the state grants.
Only decision maker there.
Commissioner Jackson, I want to ask this to the staff. She has filed for GBM Motors LLC. Has she applied through all of the procedure under the states, under the name that she's applying for? Do we have documentation to show that she's applied for it under that GBM LLC?
Yes, sir. She applied 3 days after the cease and desist was offered up and
Do they
accepted.
are they given, since this is supposed to be a new name of a new company, has she been given a different number, different than the one under GBM through the state? Has she been given that?
Yes, sir.
Has she paid all of the requirement that is required for anyone to open up a dealership? Has she met all of those goals?
Yes.
So I'm trying to get an understanding. I'm trying to make sure I make my decision right.
Cease and desist at this location, but this applicant has applied for the same location where cease and desist is located. What are you gonna do when you get there and you gotta get Scott out? Y'all gonna arm wrestle for, how are you gonna settle this? That's an irrelevant question.
I'm just trying to get an understanding of making sure, is she doing anything improper under the state? GBM Motors is somewhat in trouble. She says she don't have anything to do with that. So she decided 3 days later, after she got the cease and desist letter, to come up with another name. So my question to the staff and to the attorneys sitting around here, is anything wrong with that? Is that illegal? I'm just trying to clarify in my mind. Is that illegal? Even though the other company, based on what I've seen, it does look tainted and has violated some things. But is it improper? Is it improper or is it violation of the law for her to do that?
If I could, and I'll introduce myself because for the people behind me who don't know who I am, I'm Tony Glandorf. I'm the Chief Counsel for the Regulatory Boards Division. I was here on March 12th, and I spoke with Ms. Spann for about 4 hours when she came into our office, and that was an emotional, I think, afternoon for everybody in that room. Ms. Spann admitted that she was an addict for several years, and she came before you all back in October, I believe, of 2013, roughly. And she had her dealership, GBM Motors, and she said that she was going to be the owner and she was going to run it, and she told you all that. And Mr. Woods came before you all for an application for a salesperson's license. And you all denied him a license. And there was that, he was the person, as he walked to the back of the room, he made some comments, and Ms. Roberts, I believe you said, do we need security in here potentially for when we walk out, if you remember that? Well, fast forward, and before Ms. Spann left, you all told her, now you need to be careful who you do your business relationships with, because you don't know anything about owning a car dealership, because she had admitted it. Well, over a year later, Ms. Spann came into our office and admitted that she had been a drug addict, that Mr. Woods had received a conservatorship over her at least once before, and for all intents and purposes, she was under his control, and he was running her dealership. He was. And I listened to a lot of audio recordings from Mr. Jim Holloway, where he was having conversations with Mr. Woods, saying that he's going to try to get another conservatorship over Ms. Spann because he needed to get this dealership out of her name into somebody else's name. Now, she was a straw man. She owned that corporation. When she came before you all, you could have said the same thing. Can I deny her license, based on the potential harm that's out there in the future? Well, I'd like to ask Ms. Locke, what made you think and decide to open up your own dealership? Or specifically, are you just in part in opening your dealership, did you have any conversations with Mr. Woods about opening this dealership?
Somewhat in the sales end of it, I have seen that it can be a lucrative, profitable way to make a comfortable living. I have wanted to own my own business again for a long time. I know that I'm capable and competent. I know that mistakes have been made by other people in the past, but I am 56 years old. I'm mature. I am an upstanding person. My friend and pastor of 10 years is here. He can attest to my character. All I want to do is have a chance to make a living, and at 56 years old, I'm looking at retirement coming up. I love the state of Tennessee. I know I can make a good business here, and I know that I can perform excellent customer service. With all my background, I know that I can run a company right in a way that would make the state of Tennessee proud, and that's what I want to do.
But it seems like these were the same things that Ms. Spann was talking about a year ago. And my honest concern is over two things. One is the consumers of the state of Tennessee, and secondly, and I don't have a reason for this, but it's for you. Because Ms. Spann is probably financially just devoid of anything in the future. She's going to take the bulk of that responsibility because she allowed that to happen to herself, and I'm trying to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen here. Because under the statute, under 5517, I believe 110 it is, or 111, the commission can look at the character and honesty and trustworthiness and business relationships of any dealer application, and that's what we're doing. And and there are reasons for denial for failing to provide sufficient and full information to the commission.
I understand that. I'm sorry. I understand that. However, Jessica Spann is a drug addict. She's a very troubled young lady. She's had a history of drug abuse all her life. I personally tried to help her in the past. I tried to get her into rehab. She jumped out of the car. The last I heard, she's actually in rehab now. Myself, I don't use drugs. I have never used drugs. I don't even get drunk. I don't have these problems. I'm mentally stable. I'm competent. I have a background in business. I know that I can handle this and have a successful operation, and there is no fear of me with drug abuse. There's nothing on my record anywhere. I've never even been charged with a misdemeanor.
Ma'am, we understand that, but please kind of stay on the subject there. We're not
After
talking
that-
about your personal character. We're looking at what this is like. Could we go to, if I may, Mr. Glandorf, back to the reasons that the commission may deny a license, integrity, trustworthy. Could you read that, or Ms. Cooper, someone on the staff, read that to us again? I'm familiar, I just can't recite it.
5517-111A, which is, it states, the commission shall prescribe and provide forms to be used for applications for licenses and for the renewals thereof to be issued under the terms and provisions of this part, and require all applicants and their enfranchised manufacturers as a condition precedent to the issuance of a license to provide information touching on and concerning the applicant's character, honesty, integrity, reputation, business relationships, and ability as the commission may deem necessary. And it goes on to say, provided every application for a new dealer's license shall contain at least the following.
After having heard that, how does the commission feel?
It does bother me, and I'm glad he went to that law. And I just use the word, if you are with shady people, and no disrespect with your family, I'm not trying to, but I think we do have a right under what the attorney just read us to look at all of that, look at the whole package. I wasn't there at that point, but I'm there at that point now because that's why I asked the question. You know, if I'm associated with shady people, can I come in and apply? By me being associated with shady people, can I be denied a dealership license or a license period? And according to what you just read, this commission has a right to look at all of that.
I'll say.
And if I could, I mean, I had just asked Ms. Locke that very specific question, which is, did you have conversations with Mr. Woods in opening this dealership? My concern is that it's a straw man, that she is opening the dealership basically on his behalf so that he could run this thing. Now, her application for licensure was on March 18th. March 18th is when she applied. And I just asked her, what conversations did you have? And she avoided the question and gave me other information. Go to page 55, if you would, on your tablets there, and there is an affidavit from Jim Holloway, dated March 16th, 2 days before her application, which says, he gives a statement, and he says, to summarize my statement, I've been on multiple occasions seen and have proof that Scott Woods has altered documents, forged documents, cheated the tax system, and avoided emissions by testing, by falsifying the addresses of customers to a county not requiring emissions testing. I am giving this statement because I know Scott Woods is in the process of using his mother, Danita Locke, to try to open another auto dealership, and I do not want to see any other consumers harmed by his illegal and unethical and moral character. This was signed 2 days before her application, and I just specifically asked her if she could give us information whether or not she was opening this dealership with conversations she had with her son, and she gave no answer.
And what is also very troubling to me and leads me to the statute Mr. Glandahl read was that Ms. Locke's statement that if the commission will grant her son a license, she'll let him work there. Not a good idea. I think that shows a wanton disrespect for the public, for the commission to even, sorry about your son, ma'am, but to turn this individual loose on the public after these statements he's made, his attitude, these shams that he seems to be running. I just think that this situation, I'm not going to say anything about you personally, I just think this situation cannot be trusted or be tenable, and we're already in violation of, we'd be licensing a location that's already in violation because it's operating.
I go ahead and make a motion that we denied Ms. Locke her dealer license.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Galvin to deny and seconded by Commissioner Vaughn. Any discussion of the motion?
Can we ask one more question?
Is
the advertising still running today? Number two, is the car still on the lot today? I think the answer to both is yes. True? That's all I need. Thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none, I call for roll call vote. A yes for the motion is to deny the license. And then no is to grant the license.
No would grant the license.
Yes is to
Yes
deny
would
the
to
license.
deny. Chairman Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton.
Yes.
Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson.
Yes.
Commissioner Murray.
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett.
Yes.
Commissioner Norton.
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Motion carries to deny the license.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Director's report.
Chairman Robert, could I
Sir.
just say something before we go to direct report? And this is just to my colleagues and to the audience also. Sit on that board to make sure that we follow what the law says and to be fair and just. And I'm going to ask some tough questions, because I got to go to sleep at night, and I don't ever want to make a decision to deny anyone their rights of due process. And I'm so happy that, because I was about to make a wrong decision until Attorney Glendoff read the statute. And that helped me more than anything. That's why sometimes I like to listen. I like to make sure that I'm making a right decision on this board, because when I can sleep at night. Had not I asked that question, I might have been voting the wrong way. But I like to clear, sometimes I like to clear openly why I vote the way I vote. And I don't have no problem with that. Thank you for the opportunity just to share
We
that with-
appreciate your
with our colleagues.
thoughtfulness and your integrity, Commissioner Jackson. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. I've distributed a legislative update document that we will review shortly. I would like to begin by saying thank you very much for the opportunity to serve as your executive director. Most of you know, I spent several years with the Commission as an investigator, and I always thought that this is a place I'd like to come back to someday, and when the opportunity presented itself, I thought this must be the time, and evidently it was. So thank you very much for allowing me to serve as your executive director. To that end, I think some of you have noticed already that there's an envelope in front of you, and what we will do is use that to collect your per diem receipts each time. This will become a procedure. We'll be looking at a lot of procedure and policy and workflow and ways that we can improve our service to our customers, beginning with you and with those that we serve. So I would ask you, with the envelopes that are there, if you will leave that with your receipts, with your nameplate each time, we will expedite your processing of your per diem. There's also a proxy form in there that we will need. I'll need to get that signed so that we can make sure that we can act on your behalf and get that processed as well. Moving forward, I would give you the basic statistics for the director's report, and that is on your director's report document. Since the last commission meeting in January 2015, the following activities have occurred. 96 dealers have opened or relocated. Active licensees as of April 1st, 2015, you have 3,743. Applications in process are 38. Distributors or manufacturers, 148. Auctions, 30. Representatives, 627. Salespeople, 15,708. Dismantlers, 297. RV dealers, 27. RV manufacturers, 62. You've had 9 motor vehicle show permits issued since January 15, 2015, with $1,800 associated revenue. The complaint report, July 1 to present, number of complaints open, 414, number of complaints closed. The annual sales report that's due annually to determine your eligibility for dealer plates on February 15th indicated that 1,030,585 vehicles had been sold. That's excluding the dealers that are reporting late, so this number will be amended going forward. That number, or the listing for the eligibility for dealer plates, was emailed to the county clerks on April 14, 2015, so you will be able to move forward with renewing your dealer plates. Disciplinary action report, January through March 2015, total collected is $77,500. Are there any questions on that portion of the director's report?
We need to adopt these reports line item by line item, or can we consider it all one? We'll consider it all one report.
Actually, Chairman, since it's a report, you don't need to approve it. You just,
The next portion moving forward would be the legislative update. Senate Bill 216, House Bill 132, curb stoning defines curb stoning as the selling or advertising the sale of motor vehicles that is not titled in the seller's name by a person without a license to sell vehicles or sell more than 5 vehicles within a year when such vehicles are titled in the seller's name. Permits vehicles used in curb stoning to be seized by police provided police give notice of at least 48 hours prior to seizure. Provides penalties for denial, suspension, or revocation of motor vehicle sales license involving curb stoning and possessing closed titles. Distributes revenue from the sale of certain seized vehicles. Action 4/1/2015, Senate passed with Amendment 1. 4/7/2015, Senate for House floor, regular calendar 4/20/2015. Senate adopted Amendment SA 0174 to change the definition of the term of curb stoning. Senate Bill 508, House Bill 443 revises the provisions that prevent an applicant from obtaining a license to sell motor vehicles if there was a statement in the license application that was, in light of the circumstances under which it was made, false or misleading, by removing the language "in light of circumstances under which it was made." Action 3/23/2015, Senate passed with amendment. Bill as amended in Senate is regarding allowing those not licensed as motor vehicle dealers to purchase non-repairable or salvaged cars. 4/8/2015, House Transportation Committee deferred to 2016. This bill was deferred in the House but is likely to come up again next year. Senate Bill 789, House Bill 730 permits a car dealer license to sell used cars to operate multiple businesses at the dealer's established place of business as long as at least 66% of the dealer's place of business is used for vehicle-related purposes. Allows dealers to install signs at the dealer's place of business advertising the dealer's other businesses, broadly captioned. Action 3/30/2015, Senate passed with Amendment 1. With Senate amendment, income from additional businesses must be less than 33% of the gross income of the dealership. 4/3/2015, the House passed. 4/13/2015, sent to the Speaker for signatures. Senate Bill 1026, House Bill 1030 allows producers of motor vehicles who lease vehicles to eligible employees to sell the vehicle to a franchise dealer after the lease. Allows the franchise dealer to purchase no more than 30 of the vehicles per month. Prohibits the sale of the vehicles for 90 days from the time in which the motor vehicle was purchased by the franchise dealer. Action 3/30/2015, Senate passed. 4/16/2015, House passed. 4/16/2015, sent to the speakers for signature. Senate Bill 1095, House Bill 1296 requires that in making appointments to the Motor Vehicle Commission, the governor strive to ensure that at least one person serving on the commission is a woman, one person is racial minority, and one person is 60 years or older. Broadly captioned bill. Action 3/25/2015, taken off notice in Senate Trans and Safety Committees. 3/18/2015, taken off notice in House Transportation Committee, off notice in both houses. Senate Bill 1098, House Bill 1043 establishes various changes to the regulation of motor vehicle dismantler and recyclers and scrap metal processors. Requires motor vehicle dismantlers and recyclers and scrap metal processors to verify a vehicle is not stolen or subject to any security interest or lien at the time the vehicle is purchased. Establishes criminal sanctions and restitution for losses incurred or any sale of a vehicle based on falsified information. Requires all information necessary to be submitted to the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System. Establishes a Class A misdemeanor for violators with a minimum fine of $1,000. Specifies that half of the monies generated for penalties for violators shall be deposited in a special fund for use by the Department of Revenue's Vehicle Services Division, while the other half is to be deposited in the general fund of the municipality or county the suit was brought in, or 2, allocated to the appropriate state agency if the suit was brought by the state agency. Allows a court to order a defendant seller to make restitution to the lien holder and motor vehicle dismantler, including recyclers and scrap metal processors, for any damage or loss caused. Orders motor vehicle dealers used to transport illegally sold vehicles to be subject to seizure and forfeiture. Requires the Department of Revenue's Vehicle Services Division to develop a process to allow dismantlers and processors to verify vehicles are not reported stolen, including verification during the transaction and through the internet. Requires dismantlers and processors to not complete transactions of vehicles that are reported stolen and to notify appropriate law enforcement agencies. Action, April 17, 2015, set for Senate Finance, Ways and Means Committee, final meeting 4/21/15. 4/7/2015, House Transportation Committee recommended, sent to House Finance. Proposed amendment. Senate Bill 1209, House Bill 223, authorizes Motor Vehicle Commission to suspend or revoke license of any used car dealer in Davidson County who locates within a mile of another used car dealer after July 1, 2015. Also makes this provision applicable if used car dealer leases or transfers ownership of business. Action 3/18/2015, taken off notice in Senate Transportation and Safety Committee. 2/11/2015, referred to House Transportation Subcommittee, off notice. Senate Bill 1343, House Bill 1321, requires motor vehicle dealers to maintain records of waste tires originating from the dealer for a period of at least 2 years. Urges the Department of Environment and Conservation to study the number of waste tires originating from sources other than the tire dealers. Action 4/17/2015, set for Senate floor regular calendar 4/21/15. 4/14/2015, House Finance Subcommittee, deferred to next calendar. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the legislative update and the director's report. We'll revisit and update you on the legislative outcomes at the next meeting. Thank you.
Questions? Okay. Ready for, was new business next? I'm fumbling through my agenda here. Yeah, new business. Involving the application for licensure presented to the Commission for approval or denial for Lopater Auto Sales and Repair LLC. I think that the staff is looking for some guidance on this. Am I correct, Ms. Shaw?
The Philippeteer, as I've been corrected by my staff in the pronunciation, applicant is at a location where there is an existing dealer, and yes, we would be looking for some clarification on this particular application.
That the main issue is the existence of another operating dealership, and they're wanting to go to the same location? Is that the overriding concern?
There were a couple of concerns. The location where the Philippeteer is applying to have their dealer license, there is another dealership, as the director noted, that has previously been authorized for revocation of their license. They have decided to contest that revocation, and it was referred over to litigation, which means it got kind of sucked into the black hole that we've got right now with the backup of litigation cases. But the state is still moving forward on revocation of that license. The individual that holds that license, as of Friday, before as we were preparing for this meeting, has never indicated to the commission that they want to withdraw their protest to the revocation. They are still actively operating, so it is still a licensed until we get to the hearing, hopefully, it is still a licensed location and actively operating. In the meantime, this application recently came in to be licensed at that location. We have someone who is connected with the other dealership that's currently operating, who we think is connected to the application that's before you, kind of a shadow of what we just dealt with a few moments ago. And so the staff and I had some concerns about whether or not this application should move forward.
Well, it sounds as though, in its simplest form, this is a situation of an active dealer license at a location, and you can't license a second one at the same location. Is that the lowest common denominator here out of all this?
I think so.
Okay. Do we need a motion to that effect you need a motion to deny?
We do, yes, sir.
Or
To approve or deny,
grant
yes,
or
sir.
deny. With that said, are we ready for a motion on that?
About one location.
Same location. You've got to,
They can even have them next door.
I don't think that's the case. I think it's the
That
same
is
location.
not the case. If they were to apply for a different location, this particular,
Address.
correct, then it would go through the regular process. We're talking about this specific
There's already a dealer
application.
there, and the other one's trying to get a license, has applied for a license, but the other dealer is still there. Although the commission has moved to revoke the license, he has not surrendered, this previous one hasn't surrendered yet, so in actuality, we have a dealer operating there. Any further comments on the questions? Is there a motion out there?
I'd like to make a motion that we deny the license.
Motion to deny by Commissioner Schaefer. Did we have a second?
Has to pronounce it.
Philipatier. Did I do it right? Is that Good right? stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Very
Okay.
good.
That's what I've been
I don't know, whatever you said
instructed.
before. I don't know.
The second won't require pronunciation. Do I have a second?
Yeah, whoever
Not the
seconds
same
it,
way.
gotta say it.
I'm sorry?
It might be a different pronunciation when I get through.
I'll spell it.
All right. Is there, I just want to make sure I'm
Yeah.
not missing it. Did we hear a second? Commissioner McNabb seconded. All right. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, we'll call for roll call vote, and yes would be for the motion to deny, and no would be not for the motion to deny. Director Shaw,
Chairman
please.
Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner McNabb,
Yes.
Commissioner Galvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Clayton, Commissioner Fox.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson,
Yes.
Commissioner Murray,
Yes.
Commissioner Trickett.
Yes.
Commissioner Norton,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn. Motion carries.
Next item, subcommittee meeting calendars to be evaluated for possible incorporation into the commission's annual calendar. I'll be working with Ms. Shaw on that, I think, to maybe streamline that a little bit. The subcommittee meeting calendars.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That is something that we will review in preparation for the next year's calendar for the commission.
This is not on the agenda, but since it's more or less an FYI, if you will, for the commission, I'm going to ask the director to do a review of our applications. I think that while I'm kind of on a roll here, while I have a very good example, for instance, I think our dealer application needs more transparency toward who owns the entities that are applying and which one's in existence. Help us come to have a smoother appeal, but there are others, so I'm going to ask Director Shaw to look at those forms and documents and see if they need updating. Okay. I don't see any old business. After this meeting, we'll have a Rules Committee chaired by Commissioner McNabb. Commissioner McNabb, you want to try to work through lunch, or do you want to go to lunch and come back? What is your pleasure, sir?
Commissioner Roberts,
Commissioner Jackson.
Chairman Roberts, rather, we got to approve the legal report.
Why we have more than one person on this commission. Thank you.
That was the old business that we were trying to
Okay.
address.
I apologize. Did we even get the report?
Yes, sir. The legal report was presented to the Legal Review Committee. and was approved as written, and it was moved and approved, that it be referred to the full commission.
Motion to, do we need to approve that?
Yes,
Legal
sir.
review report, all right. Is there a motion to approve?
Commissioner Jackson.
Commissioner Jackson.
Motion to approve.
I
the
thought
legal
you would.
report.
Second.
Thank you. All right,
Second.
is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Trickett. Any discussion?
Seconded by Commissioner,
Trickett?
okay.
We'll just do this by voice vote. All those for the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. And Ms. Cooper? Now, did I miss anything? Yes, we, in attendance today, we have Representative Sparks, who I think is going to visit us on the Rules Committee shortly. Would you like to speak to the commission, sir, or you want to wait for the rules? We're going to adjourn pretty, right now, then we'll. Why don't you do that? Okay. Thanks, sir.
Appreciate y'all's time. I'm Mike Sparks, represent 49th District out of Smyrna. I was in the car business for 10 years, and I could feel for some of the folks that were up here, and appreciate y'all, having a caring heart for some of the issues I've seen with the salesmen. I really appreciate that. But being around the business, I've seen a lot of dealers that give folks a bad name sometimes. And one thing that I've tried to bring to the table as a legislator, for this is my 5th year, is to just improve the industry a little bit. I was on committees back before I was a county commissioner, before I was in the legislature, and I served on the Tennessee Independent Auto Dealer Association to try to just help the business. I know there's a lot of unscrupulous dealers out there, but this bill that I had run was in regards to rebuilt car titles, just asking for more disclosure. One thing I had heard a lot of complaints about was dealers that would sell a car, a lot of it on the tote to note, buy here, pay here, and they'd have it in fine print that this could be a rebuilt car title, And as a dealer, you pretty much know if it's a rebuilt car title or not. And then the folks get the title back in 24 months or 36 months, and then it's rebuilt. I've seen it happen to my son's girlfriend. Ironically, she worked for Roy Herron for a year. If y'all know who Roy Herron is, Democrat Party. God works in some strange ways sometimes. But it happened to her, and I didn't have time to go help her. She brought her uncle that knew a little bit about cars, and it didn't have a catalytic converter on the car. And as you know, that's pretty expensive repair. Rebuilt title, check engine light come on shortly after. The motor ended up blowing up on her about 6 months ago, and pretty much she just sold it for salvage. They never did try to go after the guy, and it was basically a curbstoner that was selling it to her, So I've seen it happen to my own future daughter-in-law, and I've seen it happen to my stepsister, who I think works in this building or the next one. She had bought a Crown Vic years ago, come to find out it was a rebuilt car title. So rather than just trying to pass the bill, I talked to Bob Weaver and some others with the department, and they act like that maybe y'all could really look at the rules. And I don't believe in trying to legislate your way out of problems. Y'all are closer to this business than the 99 legislators up there and senators are. So that's what I'm here today, just to see if whether it's at this meeting or the next few meetings, if y'all could look at this issue to try to just hopefully protect the consumers.
Thank you, Representative Sparks.
Thank you,
We
sir.
actually have that on the agenda for the Rules Committee, and we're trying to determine when to meet back, whether after lunch or work through lunch. But thank you for your interest in the Tennessee consumers and our work here.
One bill also, as I still consider myself a freshman legislator, even though I'm on my 5th year, the caption on one of those bills, it asked for a minority and a female on the motor vehicle board. I've learned a lesson that's not what the intent of that caption was. They just throw a caption bill up there.
Already here.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want it to alarm anybody. So I learned a little bit of a lesson, because that could alarm folks to think the board's unfair. As an independent dealer, I have never seen where the board was ever unfair. I always kind of thought, well, it's all new car dealers. I could see where it could be unfair, but I've never experienced that. So I want to compliment y'all with being good to people, and I think I witnessed it here today. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Nothing further. for
We're going to
today's
adjourn,
meeting.
then
Commissioner McNabb, before we adjourn, do you want to go to work in about 15 minutes, or do you want to You want to, the Rules Committee, I'm only talking about the Rules Committee, excuse me.
Who's on the Rules Committee? Farah? Who else is here? Reed? 3 of us?
I do in my phone, if you want to give me time to look it up. Why don't you be contemplating how you want to?
I think I'd like to stay here and go ahead and get it done, rather than, coming back. I'd rather go ahead and just start in 5 minutes and, let's move on.
Rules Committee will meet about 6 minutes from now.
12:15? 12:15, it's 12:08 right now, so 12:15.
Want to meet at 12:15. All right, Rules
Yeah.
Committee meet at 12:15. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Jackson.
Go home.
Second,
Yep,
meeting
yep.
is adjourned. Thank
That was
you.
helpful. I couldn't help myself and say, we're already.